Joe, Friday night college football is the goofiest and weirdest things that you will ever see. Just ask teams in Florida, like Florida State and Miami. Jeff Brom, 3-0 versus the top 10 in his time at the University of Louisville. Joe, I know I'm just going to kick it over to you. When you recap this game, what are your thoughts?
Look, I know that there's a lot of
I'm about to go off. Go ahead.
I understand that. I don't care if anyone wants to say that this is excuse making for Miami, because I don't think that it is. It is no longer the world, Blake, where we live in that teams have to go unscathed. We are more of a professionalized NFL version of the sport than we have seen. In the NFL, teams lose all the time, and they still go to the playoffs. This Miami team absolutely is more flawed than I gave them credit for. I think that what obviously hurt them in this game, they couldn't run the ball. And as what I had mentioned a million times over, why I liked and trusted this Miami team was that when they couldn't run the ball in other games, Carson Beck stepped up. Tony stepped up. Tony stepped up in this game. Carson Beck did not. Carson Beck took 3 steps backward. Mario Cristobal, in terms of his pregame preparation for this team coming out with energy at home, took 3 steps backward. This was not the version of Miami that we saw weeks prior. And I personally kind of reject this belief that there was evidence that they had issues leading up to this. Because everything
you could give would be the last time that we saw them, they also couldn't run the football.
Okay. But it wasn't to this degree. It wasn't to this degree of issue where they only had 63 yards rushing.
No, you're right. It wasn't this bad.
Carson Beck, his performance was abysmal, and I'm not trying to completely rag on him for the way that he played. His arm
clearly played over 7 figures.
Fair. I just don't like going after guys in their early 20s, but he is legitimately a big reason for their loss. His injured elbow clearly has caused problems for his ability to drive the ball downfield. It led to an interception against Florida, and it led to multiple picks in this game. One of them was a really bad decision, but I think that he thinks he's got more juice in his arm than he actually currently does at the moment because of the recovery to his elbow.
I agree.
The Tony pick floated that thing up there, and it gave the defensive backs times to adjust it.
And that was a ridiculous play.
I think that if he had last year's arm strength, that was a touchdown. That was a big play, but it fluttered and it was up there like a punt. He can't drive the ball the way that he used to. He just can't. And I think that the way that he played and the risks that he took, it was the version of him at Georgia where he thought he had to do everything. And the last pick was an example of that. Just needed to be a little bit more composed. Blake, I get it. Miami is not the team that I build them out to be. But I still think that they're a great football team. And I still think that they're a top 6 team.
All right. For the last month, I have been taking a lot of shit from this Miami fan base. I should have known better because it happened the same way last year. You got outcoached. And when people come out here and say Mario's going to Mario, do you get it now? Now, I do agree that Carson Beck had a bad game, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I got to start with Louisville. That defensive line punched that Miami offensive line right in the mouth, and there was not much that they can do about it. No running back had over 20 yards rushing. None. And they have a stable of them. The truth of the matter was 61, Brockmeyer, that interior offensive line, your left tackle, they got their shit pushed in. There's no other way to describe it. You did. Carson Beck was under pressure majority of the night and taking massive amounts of hits. Joe, going into this game, we talked about this Louisville team, and we talked about this Louisville defense and who they are and what they are. And they go back and say, Joe, coming into this game, this team was 12th in the country in total defense. They were 8th in the country in pass defense. They were 3rd in the country in third down. Oh, and by the way, they were one of the top teams in the country defending the run. And the question was, well, have they really played anybody like Miami that can physically push them around? And I honestly thought going into this game that Miami would get push. But the God's honest truth was it was the opposite way. You got out coached from the opening kickoff. Joe, the fake field goal, you had to have known something was going to happen. You had to have known. They had all the momentum. Then you get in a situation where you put their best player in one-on-one coverage and you got out coached with a drag route. And quite honestly, early, Jeff Brom had this entire defensive staff confused. During the game, it was reported. Please go back and listen to the TV copy if you don't believe it. It is reported. Miami players were coming over to the sideline saying, and I quote, "We have absolutely no idea what's going on out there. How are they beating us? They're beating you because you were in simple man coverage." And yet again, Joe, they got lost. They were getting lost in man coverage. Now, Chris Bell is an amazing wide receiver. I think you have amazing talent if you're Miami. But the truth of the matter was one team wanted it more and one coaching staff wanted it more. They were in their bag. And look, I give Miami credit for battling back and doing what they did. But when you don't have a running game and your offensive line that's supposed to be heralded as one of the best gets pushed around and you're asking Carson Beck to beat you with his arm, you're going to have these level of performances like he had a year ago. I agree with you on the arm strength thing. I think you're dead on accurate with that. But outside of Malachi Toney, what could they do? There wasn't anything they can do. And I look at this game and go back and watch it like I did today and say to myself, I am impressed by how well coached this Louisville team was on both sides of the football. With Miller Moss, who quite honestly was the better quarterback in this one. By landslide, just to be honest.
He was. And I also think another part that you missed with this, Isaac Brown was struggling. The Louisville offensive line was struggling to run the ball before this game. And he found a lot of big lanes. I think that two things need to be separated here, and this is why I'm very against the just immediate, reaction. Miami's. I'm not saying that you're doing this. It's more so about the commentary, people commenting on our videos and people commenting on social media. We can't just go, Miami's cooked, they're screwed.
I didn't say they were cooked.
I know. I didn't say that you said that. We have to separate the framing of the discussion. We can have the conversation of what went wrong and what they did poorly and what they can't repeat in the future. Everything you just said is completely correct. O-line played poorly. Run game couldn't get going.
D-line
didn't play well. Yeah. I still have games of evidence before this performance against respectable opponents where all of those things that were issues for them today were their strengths. And I'm willing to still bet on Miami to bounce back. I'm going to keep saying this. Teams are allowed to get better. Teams are also allowed to lose games now. You can get outcoached, and you can rebound and get back on track. I think that there's an opportunity for it, and Miami must absolutely do this to look in the mirror and realize they can't let that happen again. They can't. They can't. I still see a team. One game should not be the deciding factor in assessing if this team is capable of getting to a national championship or at least an ACC title or not. I think that they showed weaknesses on film that now teams can absolutely attack. But I still see a team that's got physicality and a well-coached defense. That didn't show up on Friday. It has to show up in the future and for the rest of the games on their schedule.
If you can show this once, it can be replicated.
I don't disagree with it. That's why you got to be focused and not allowing for it to be replicated.
Joe, but I look at a game, I think they were focused. I just think that they got pushed around. I
don't disagree with that. My point is that the way that we determine if Mario Cristobal is really taking the step forward or not is if they improve and they bounce back, or they do what happened last year where they fell apart.
Well, let me ask you this. When has he shown that he can?
Well, that's what I'm at. That's what I'm literally calling upon is that he hasn't. Last year, they suffered a loss and then it snowballed. Mm-hmm. This has to be a galvanizing moment for them.
I think it's going to snowball again in the regular season. I don't know when, and I don't even know if it comes with a loss. Let me get to Carson Beck really quickly.
Okay.
it wasn't just the interceptions. It was mostly the decision making, right? Like I can live with the Tony long throw. What I can't live with is the pump, the hitch and go that you threw on the outside. That's just a bad decision. It's a horrible decision. The tip pass and at the end of the game, I don't know if I put all on him, but it also comes to a situation where it looks like he checks to the line for a different protection. Everybody slides left. They go to slide protection. That's on him for that ball getting tipped. He's going to have another performance like that. I don't know if it's 4 straight interceptions, but I don't think it gets worse, to your point. I don't know if it can get worse than what Friday happened. I mean, technically, I guess it could, but it just gets to a situation where both sides of the football got massively outcoached. And
I don't disagree with that.
I do question, do you have enough playmaking offensively that if Malachi Toney's not there to save you, can you overcome it? You talked about a national championship run. There's going to be a team that is clever enough to take away Malachi Toney and say, please, dear God, everybody else beat us. Please. I don't disagree. Double dog dare you.
Yeah.
And I got to be real with you. I think Louisville showed the blueprint, and you better find a way to start running the football because Carson Beck's not going to be able to throw you into wins.
But this is part of kind of my belief in this is that the blueprint requires for Miami's offensive line to get manhandled and for them to not be able to run the ball. And I think that they have enough talent. But this is why I'm saying that they didn't come out swinging. They came out, it felt like they were flat the whole first quarter. And they're not a team with the way that they've imposed their will to set the tone early against all of their opponents that can come out flat. You can't come out flat when your identity is running the football. You just can't. Trying to scratch your way back into a game, running the rock is not something that is necessarily going to truly work because then you end up putting too much pressure on Beck to throw the ball the amount of times that he did and to take the shots that he did that he couldn't connect on.
Well, and I got to be real with you. I know, and I'm not trying to call him or you out. Just stay with me and let me finish before you bite my head off.
Okay.
How does Heatherman not know the double and try to take away Chris Bell at any cost? Like how after the first 3 third down conversions, at what point do you just say we're going to completely take him away and let somebody else beat us? I'm not trying to be rude here, but please tell me where they were going and where they went on every third down. Because you want to hear it? Here's the first half. You ready? Literally, look at this. Okay, here it is. On every third down pass, do you want to know who was intended to besides once?
Scores Bell. And he's a top 5 receiver in the sport. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL draft.
Bullshit. In this draft,
bullshit. There's truth to it. He's
he ain't in the top 5. He's in the top 3, and he ain't number 2 or number 3.
Well, it's Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Chris Bell.
I'm taking him over all of them. I'm taking him over all of them.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
He's too big and too fast and too strong and too physical.
He's A.J. Brown. Seriously, he's A.J. Brown. That's what I've compared him to. I put my comp at him over the summer. I had a couple people text me after that, and I was like, that is the most spot on. That's my one. I'm not going to comp. That's my one comp.
And runs a 4.4, Joe, it's over.
Oh, he's going to run like a high 4.4, probably run like a 4.49. He's a big physical dude. He's a really good player.
But to the point, when do you take him away?
I don't disagree. I mean, that was the obvious misjudgment.
It's bad. Very bad.